Let's talk about training and traveling. So, whether this is going abroad or even just locally for a few days, training and traveling are two things that sometimes don't gel very well. So, I'm going to speak from personal experience. I've been traveling for the past 8 months and I've visited quite a handful of countries over that time. At the same time, I've also had to prep for my first Ironman. So, this meant that wherever I traveled to, I needed to prepare my training ground in advance, which simply put was not just a gym. So it was a little bit more complicated, as some of my runs were 21K plus, and some of my cycles were also about 100K plus. Making it a lot harder for me to essentially get the job done when it came to getting my training in routinely and consistently. So, this is where forward planning became very, very important, and making sure that my environment was conducive towards my goals instead of putting myself in an unfamiliar place and using it as a reason or an excuse to essentially neglect, achieving the goal, which was the Ironman. So, when traveling, it is important to remember that an irregular schedule and agenda is going to impact your training, right? It is going to stop you from achieving your health and fitness goals if you have not planned in advance. So, let's talk about if you can find a gym and if you can't find a gym. So, if you can find a gym, whether it is fully equipped or not, this will at least allow you to have access to equipment which will allow you to give the right amount of stimulation, blood flow, and provide you with a greater potential to achieve progressive overload, so that you can either maintain or continue to build muscle tissue. Now, if you don't have a gym and you cannot have access to a gym, whether this is in the area or if this is actually going to just be in the hotel where you're staying, body weight will continue to essentially offer enough resistance to maintain your current body composition in the short term. And it is unlikely that you are going to not have 20 to 30 minutes to get in a session every single day, right? Or every second day for that matter. And that is the barest minimum in terms of just making sure we get good blood flow stimulation and making sure that we're also maintaining good habits and structures and routine when it comes to our training. There are, of course, pieces of equipment that one can use, and this is things like resistance bands or TRX, which are very travel friendly and easily adjustable and adaptable to pretty much any environment that you're in. So there really is no excuse when traveling not to actually get a session in, whether this is having a gym available to you or training from home with absolutely minimal equipment or body weight. There is always going to be time to do push ups, planks, body weight squats, split squats, Supermans. There's so many. And if you are struggling to obviously come up with many body weight exercises, just drop me a message. But there really is no excuse to get in 20 or 30 minutes every day to 2 days. Now, if you are living like Dobby under a staircase and really, really have no place or space to train, the second best option would be to utilize your time to go for a run. Spend some time outdoors. Increase the amount of steps that you need to do, right? If you've been struggling to get 10,000 steps in, use this time to go get those 10,000 steps in. Or if you have more time than that, increase that deficit, and potential to limit that offset with the calories in, calories out if you've been eating out to try and get more steps in, right? There's no excuses here. If you do have 20 to 30 minutes, which I'm sure we all do, or we can all prioritize, definitely get some level of activity in, whether this is more steps or a run. Sometimes you are either going to start early with your day or you're going to finish late, or both if you are on work travel. So, scheduling in your training on your calendar and treating it like a work commitment is going to be my biggest piece of advice when it comes to staying on track and prioritizing your training. This makes sure that nothing else can A, get booked into your schedule, or if something needs to be booked in your schedule, it gets scheduled around your training, which should always be a priority. This makes sure that nothing else gets booked into your schedule, and also that anything else that does need to be done, is essentially planned around your training and not the other way around. If your training is a priority, you will make the time.